Hey guys, welcome to Troy Time. Hey, check it out. Today I'm going to talk to you about microgreens. Okay, I love microgreens. Everyone should be growing them. Let's have a little chat. Sit down, grab a drink, and let's have a chat about microgreens. I'm going to tell you lots of stuff. I'm going to tell you what my favorite ones are, which ones I like, which ones I don't like, and the reasons why. Okay, so stay tuned and sit down and let's learn a little bit about microgreens together. Okay, guys, let me start by saying everyone should be growing microgreens, okay? It is so easy. It's inexpensive, it's easy, and it's great for your health. Everyone should really be growing microgreens, okay? Let me just say, microgreens have an amazing amount of nutrition, okay? If nothing else, if you're just growing them for nutrition, they can be amazing. All right, let me just start by sharing a little bit of personal information, okay? I want to talk to you about the nutrition value of microgreens, all right? You may not know, but microgreens have 40 times, sometimes 50, sometimes 100 times the nutrition of the actual plant. So if you're getting that microgreen, even a tiny little bit gives you a ton of nutrition, okay? Even a small amount of eating, a small amounts of microgreens can make a huge difference in your health. Okay, little story. A few years back, I went to see my doctor, and I was a little worried because I struggle a bit with high cholesterol. Even when I was very, very fit. I used to teach Muay Thai kickboxing, I used to teach Jiu-Jitsu, and I was extremely fit. And even then, I would struggle with high cholesterol. It's a family genetic thing. Everyone in my family does. And I thought, she might be looking to put me on medication. And so I was a little apprehensive going to the office for my annual physical. And she comes out and she's like, "Troy, what are you doing?" And I'm getting ready to explain to her, well, you know what? I'm going to get back to my exercise routine. I'm going to get fit again. I'm thinking I'm going to have to explain myself. And she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Your numbers look amazing." She's like, I checked your chart. I looked back to see what medications we put you on. We didn't put you on anything. What are you doing? And the only thing I changed was I started eating greens and microgreens. That's it. I started growing them and I started eating them. This is about 3 years ago. And it did amazing things for my numbers. My cholesterol went down 100 points. My cholesterol went down 100 points. She was in shock. And even in subsequent years, she's like, "Your numbers are so good." She's like, "I wish I could sell these numbers to my other patients," okay? And so the only thing I attribute to is the microgreens, because I didn't change anything about my diet. I didn't change anything about the level of exercise that I was doing. The only thing, if I had 100 pieces of pizza in 1 year, I had 100 the next year. If I had 100 margaritas in 1 year, I had 100 the next year. I didn't take anything bad away at all. I didn't do anything new. The only thing I did was I started including the leafy greens and the microgreens, okay? So we all know that they have like 40 times the nutrition of the regular plant, 50 times, sometimes 100 times the nutrition of the regular plants. But they do amazing things. A lot of them, they actually help cure different types of cancers, okay? With sulforaphane, you've probably heard me talk about that in other videos. They're just amazing. They do amazing things for your health, okay? So everyone really should be growing and eating microgreens. They really, really should. I can't recommend it highly enough. I know my example is just one case. It's just a survey of one, but it's you might think it's anecdotal, but I know for me that it's the only thing I changed, and it's had a dramatic effect on my health. So I love them. I think they're great. Okay. So there's many benefits even besides just the nutrition. Okay. So another thing that it's great for is it's actually really good, in my opinion. Growing plants and things like that is really good for like your mood, for depression, to help depression. It's kind of like having a dog, right? You're raising a living thing. You're growing plants. You're connecting with the earth. It's good for your spirit, right? You're connecting with nature. I think it's really, really good thing to grow plants, especially plants that you eat, because it's just a continuous cycle that you grow it and then you eat it, and it's just, you are forming a connection, okay, with the world, with nature. So I think I know that sounds corny to a lot of people, but I think it's really, really true. And so it's good for your health. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your mood. And it's good for you even from like a preparedness level. That's another thing that doesn't get talked about much. But if you learn how to grow your own food and you're storing a bunch of microgreen seeds, you're storing a lot of food, okay? That food can be grown quickly. And not only as microgreens, you can then take your microgreens and then grow them in a garden. And then you can then capture those seeds. So as far as emergency preparedness, as far as food scarcity or food stability, having a lot of seeds in your house is a great idea. Being able to grow them indoors and outdoors and do the plants is awesome. But the start of it, the beginning of it, it all begins with the microgreens, okay? So super important. Let me just recap. It's great for your physical health because of all the nutrition that you're getting. It's great for your mental health because it's fun. It helps you interact with your world and with nature. And it's just a proven well-being thing to do, right? And it's also great for your emergency preparedness to have the skill of growing food. It's very satisfying as well, just to grow something and have that achievement. So there's a lot of factors that I just think microgreens, everyone should be growing microgreens. It's so easy, it's so inexpensive. You don't need to bring dirt inside. Even for the microgreens, you don't need any nutrients, and some microgreens don't even need any lights. It couldn't be simpler. So everyone should be growing microgreens. I think it would improve everyone's life in a variety of different ways that I've tried to lay out here. So I'm making an argument for you to start today, grow some microgreens, and just see for yourself. I think it's important. I really do. I think everyone should be growing microgreens. All right, with that said, let's look deeper into microgreens, okay? So, and I'll show you some pictures of some of the things and stuff, but let's talk about the way I look at the categories, okay? And I've kind of half explained it already because of the benefits of it, right? So there's a benefit to it from nutritional stance. So that could be one category. So there's a number of microgreens that really, really are rocking on the nutrition side. All of them are, but some really peg the scale. There are a number of them that are very, very economical, okay, extremely cost effective to grow, all right? There are a number of them that are very, very quick, very, very easy. They don't take much time, much effort. And there's some that have a very, very good taste palette, okay? So there's lots of different reasons that you might want to grow microgreens. For nutrition, because it's very cost effective, because some are well suited for just growing so quickly, and others that just have a wonderful taste palette that you're trying to complement certain dishes and different things like that. So that's different reasons, but let's talk about it. Okay, first and foremost, and the one that's probably most important to most people, is the nutrition, okay? So in my mind, if you're looking to get the most nutrition, that's your category, that's your reason for growing microgreens, then you need to be growing one of 4 microgreens, okay? These are the ones that top the scale. And for me, the main thing when you're talking health is sulforaphane, okay? Sulforaphane does magic stuff, okay? It helps cure cancer. It's the greatest stuff on earth, okay? That's what they're finding. Every study that does it, every study that looks at it is finding that it just has all these different properties, okay? So you can look into it for yourself. I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm just gonna say that's, if you're growing microgreens, you definitely need at least one from this category. Otherwise, you're missing out on the whole reason that really you should be growing microgreens for the nutrition. Okay, so those 4 items are kale, cress, broccoli, and radishes. Okay, those are the 4. Those are the 4. They're brassicas or whatever family, but those are the ones that have sulforaphane. Okay, and so I've tried all 4 of those. Okay, and everyone's going to have different preferences, but I'm trying to give you my key takeaway, my cliff notes, right, about microgreens. So here's the dilemma. What's tied to the sulforaphane is the sulfur, right? And sulfur generally is going to smell bad, okay? So the problem that you're going to have with many of these is that the ones that are highest in your sulfur are going to have a little bit of a smell when you grow them. And I'm not digging that. I grow these things indoors. So I want the one that's going to have the least amount of smell, okay? And it just so happens that the one that has the least amount of smell, almost none, it also has some of the best volume. And in my opinion, has the best taste, okay? What you'll find also with these is that these tend to be, as far as the microgreens, none of them are expensive, but these are on the higher end of what you're going to pay for a microgreen, okay? These are, they're probably $15 to $20 for a pound. Now, a pound will grow several trays, right? Generally, for this category, $15 will get you 15 trays of food. So generally on these, it's going to be roughly $1 a tray. The green and white trays full with these things are going to be about $1 a tray, okay? Which isn't expensive, right? But it is the higher price among the microgreens. It's not bad, but there's other microgreens that cost way 10 times less, right? I don't particularly like the kale, right? The kale does smell when you grow it, and the kale has very fine leaves on it compared to the other ones. Now, as far as flavor, I'm not a fan of the kale, okay? And the kale smells probably one of the worst, right? Cress, I'm not a fan of the flavor of cress, and it's a very fine, it doesn't have a lot of volume, and it smells when it grows. And then the broccoli's okay. Broccoli's right in the middle. I like the broccoli. The taste is pretty good. It's green, but it's broccoli, but it's good. And it smells a little, but it dissipates very quickly, okay? But the big one, baby, radishes. How many times have you heard me talk about radishes on my channel? The radish microgreens are awesome. Okay, let me tell you. They grow the fastest, right? They have the biggest volume. They don't smell when you grow them, and they taste amazing. Okay, so I recommend you choose one from from that category. If you're going to grow microgreens, it doesn't make sense not to grow something that's got sulforaphane. Okay, because that's one of the biggest benefits in my mind. So one of those four, and you can choose yours. But man, I'm telling everybody, radish sprouts, radish sprouts, radish sprouts, okay? Because the kale's not so good in my mind. The cress is not so good. The broccoli's okay. If I have to choose a second one from that category, it's broccoli. I like the broccoli. But man, I love the radish, okay? And I'll eat a lot more of the radish. I'll eat a ton more of radish sprouts than I do broccoli. Broccoli, I take a little pinch and I spread it out when I eat stuff. And radish sprouts, I grab, a decent sized handful when I eat it. And I love the taste. I love the radishes, man. The radishes they're top dog. Right? I just love how they taste. So broccoli coming in number 2 in that category. Radishes coming in number 1. Okay, let's move on. All right, guys, cost effectiveness. Okay, let's talk about that. So we just talked about some of those other microgreens being $15 to $20 a pound. Okay, but you can get microgreen seeds usually from the grocery store or from an Asian market. And you can get them for usually about $1.50 a pound, so about 10 times less, okay? So which ones are those? If you're mostly considered, hey, I'm just starting, I don't want to spend a lot of money, let me just try it with these, then let's look at the microgreens that are very low in cost, okay? And there's basically 3 of them, okay? What you're gonna find is that your lentils are available right in your grocery store. They're one of the most easily available seeds that you can get. And then also your mung beans and your pea shoots, okay? Usually for your mung beans and your pea shoots, you're going to probably have to go to an Asian market. Well, you'll pay about $1.50. You're going to pay about $1.50 for lentils, but you can get them probably right at your grocery store. They got them at Food Lion, right? And usually I go to the Asian market and I'll get them for about $1.50. I'll get the pea shoots and I'll get the mung beans, right? So those are the 3 you should be growing. Lots of other benefits with those, okay? Let me tell you, the pea shoots are good. They grow really fast. They've got a large volume, right? The mung beans are awesome. They've got some protein, right? They're crunchy. They don't have a whole lot of flavor. They take on the flavor of whatever you're growing. But I love mung beans. The mung beans you can grow in the dark, okay? You couldn't do it easier. And mung beans are actually the fastest thing to grow, right? Lentils and mung beans are the fastest. And lentils have a ton of protein, right? Lentils are a magic one too, okay? We'll talk about those in a minute. What I love for lentils is the sprouting, okay? Because when you sprout them, not only do you eat the sprout that happens, but you also eat the seed, and that's highly uncommon. And that seed is a legume, and so it's got tons of protein. So lentils are very low cost, easily available, and tons of protein. So lentils are definitely on the list, okay? Mung beans are awesome. Mung beans grow so much volume and they grow so quick, okay? If you're looking for something quick and you're looking to have a lot of volume from it, so from like a prepper perspective, man, lentils and mung beans, you're rocking with those things, right? Those are really ones to go, right? Really, really good. And then green peas. Generally from that category, I won't run all 3. I'm always running mung beans. I'll always do that. And then I'll choose, and I'd sometimes alternate between either the green peas or the lentils, right? They kind of are similar in my mind as far as not too different in flavor, and they both are a legume, that kind of thing. So I'd like mung beans all the time, either peas or lentils. Okay, let's talk flavor palette, all right? So for that, a lot of people grow different herbs, right? And that's fine. The problem that I see with that is that they take a long time. So I don't normally do that. That's not on my everyday cycle of what I do. You could do a basil, you could do a cilantro, that kind of thing. I tend to do that stuff when I have a particular dish I want to try. There's a beef and basil recipe I'm dying to try. So I'm going to make a batch of basil microgreens and I'm going to throw that in there, okay? Oftentimes during the summer, I'm growing basil out in the yard anyways. So since I'm not looking at the basil from the nutrition standpoint, but from the flavor, usually I'll just get the basil right from the plant rather than grow the microgreens. But if you didn't have that option, you wanted to grow the microgreens, that would be fine. They just take a long time. So they may take like 14 days, 21 days. Some of the herbs really take like almost a month. And so I don't do those very often, but it's certainly a great thing to do. I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that. It's just not something I would start with when you're first trying it out, okay? Save that for the little cherry on top, the little, oh, you know what? This month, let's try growing this one. And then, but your normal everyday grow with your microgreens, your weekly stuff that's happening, that's not one. Most of those herbs, cilantro, basil, You could do all the different herbs there. I don't tend to mess that too much, but I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that. I just want to say that's not where I feel you should be beginning. That's not where you should be spending your time in the beginning, my opinion. Okay, so we talked about a lot of different things. I'm not trying to make it a huge, long video, right? I know it's getting there, but hopefully you're following along and make this all make sense. But let me just summarize, okay? So what I'm trying to say is if you look at it from the perspective of price, right, and then of nutrition, and then of flavor palette, and then of how practical it is for prepping purposes, and can you grow other types of food out in your garden from that, then these are the ones that I recommend, okay? First and foremost, I recommend mung beans, okay? And the reason being is that they grow so quick, right? Usually 4 days. They've got some proteins and they have a crunchy taste. They got a great texture. But everyone's gonna like mung beans. There's no flavor to them. So there's no reason not to like them. They take on the flavor of whatever gravy or whatever broth that you have that you're using them with. So they're great, and they're super inexpensive. So if you're prepping, you can stock up on them. You can take them from the microgreen stage and grow them out in your garden. But they just make a huge volume, a huge amount of mass when you grow them into a large microgreen. So they're awesome. A great thing about mung beans is you can grow them with no light. So you don't need anything. You can grow mung beans on a plate with a towel if you really had to, okay? So having mung beans around to grow is a super great idea. They hit a lot of marks when we're looking at these categories that we evaluate them on. All right, next up for me, radishes. I love radishes. You definitely want one from that Sephoraphane category, and radish is by far the best. It's going to give you a ton of volume. It's got one of my favorite taste palettes, and it grows very fast. 7 days usually for radish, 7 to 8 days. So it's just a winner in all amounts, tons of nutrition. I can eat tons of it. So you're going to it's real high in Sephoraphane. You're going to get that, and then it's got a lot of volume, and it's just got a great flavor. And it is on the higher end as far as microgreens, but it's not expensive. $1 for a big tray. Normally I'm growing on a weekly to 10-day basis. I'm growing usually one smaller tray, maybe 2 smaller trays. So you're talking about 30 or 60 cents for 7 to 10 days when I grow it. So very inexpensive, less than a can of beans, right? And that's one of the more expensive microgreens, like I say. But radishes all the way. I love them. All right, third one, peas. Green peas. Again, they're super inexpensive, right? $1.50 a pound. You can throw them out in your garden and you can grow peas, right? They get tons of volume when you grow them. They taste good, right? They got a nice sweet pea taste to them. They're a legume. They've got some protein. They hit tons of marks of things that I care about, all right? And lots of good nutrition, right? And a lot of people really like the taste. They're a little green, but a lot of people really like the taste of green peas, okay? Really like the taste of the pea shoots. So one of my favorites. Another thing about peas is that they're just super easy to grow, okay? All right, another really good one. I don't grow this one all the time. I alternate usually back and forth between a couple different things, is the broccoli, all right? The broccoli will smell a tiny little bit when you first start. When it first starts germinating, it will have a little bit of a smell. It dissipates rather quickly. But I like broccoli. I like the taste of broccoli. I don't eat a lot of it. So one small plate is overkill for how much I'll have in a week to 10 days, all right? Usually a small pinch. When I have a serving of it, I take a small pinch and then I spread it out. That's the other thing. Spread it out over what you eat. Don't take it like all in one big bite. But I like the broccoli, but I don't grow it all the time. I grow it occasionally. And the last one is lentils. Again, for a lot of different reasons. It's probably going to be the highest amount of protein you're going to get is from lentils. It's readily available in the grocery store, right? It's inexpensive. It grows super fast. It sprouts in like 3 days. So lots of reasons to like the lentils. I don't always do the lentils. I alternate between the green ones. Usually the lentils, the broccoli, and the peas, I'm kind of alternating, right? So I'm always growing mung beans. I'm always growing radishes. And then I'll do one of the other 3, usually sometimes 2 of the other 3 in what I grow. And I love it. The tastes complement themselves really, really well. So I've got one that's crunchy, I've got one that's spicy, I've got one that's green, maybe 2 that are green, and it just makes for a wonderful flavor palette. And I put pretty much the same mixture on most everything I eat. Usually I'll have a soup and I'm gonna put the same ratio, the same sort of mix into it. I'm gonna put mung beans, a lot of mung beans, quite a bit of radishes, and then a little bit of green peas and a little bit of broccoli. And occasionally I'll substitute one of the green peas or broccoli with lentils. But yeah, usually that's how it is. So mung beans are top dog, radishes are second, and then everything else kind of plays with a little rotation between peas, broccoli, or lentils, right? And those are the ones that I recommend. They're easy to grow, most of them are inexpensive, and those are the reasons why, okay? You can play around with the other ones, but what you're going to see mostly from my channel is pretty much staying within those. You can play around with the other ones, that's just fine. So let's talk about that for just 1 second before we go. Honorable mention for me, sunflowers, okay? I do like the sunflowers. The sunflowers have they're very unique among the microgreens in that they have a nutty flavor. They really do taste like nuts, right? And so that's good and bad. I really like the flavor and I crave it once in a while, so I will grow them once in a while. But the problem is I only like it on a salad, right? And I eat a lot of ramen, I eat a lot of soups and things like that. And I don't like the nut flavor in my soup. That's not a good mix at all. But I do like it on the salad, and it's good, and it's crunchy, and they taste good. And the other downside of the sunflower is that, especially if you're growing them in the dirt, but the shells fall off. Especially if you're growing in the dirt, there could be mold issues when the shells fall down and they stay wet. So you got to really watch with the sunflower, especially if you're growing in the dirt, that they don't get moldy, right? Which can be a problem. So a little bit more tricky to grow. Take a longer while. They take 2 weeks, 14, 16 days. So they take a little longer. You might have a mold problem. You really don't want to do them with dirt. And then the fact that I can only eat them sort of on half of the stuff that I'd use the other ones. I grow them once in a while when I get a craving for them. And that's how I think most people should view a lot of the other ones. Like I say, I only grow basil once in a while. You could go a little cilantro but you can play with whatever ones you want to, right? And see what they do. Tell me in the comments which microgreens you like growing. And some people may just have tons of space and just want to grow everything that they possibly can, and that's fine. And I don't want to discourage anyone from growing anything. But if you're just getting into it, there's a nice rotation that you can do with the ones that I'm presenting to you, and I'll be showing you that here soon in another video. What I'm growing, when I'm growing it, and how I'm keeping things kind of organized as I do it. Because it can get into chaos when you grow microgreens and they harvest so quickly. It can get chaos. It's like, what's going on? Am I planting today? Am I harvesting today? Which ones are coming out? What's going on? Am I supposed to water this one? When do I change this one? When you're growing a lot of them, it can get just a little bit crazy. So I'll show you exactly to keep it simple, because I got a real simple method, a little rotation that works real well with the ones I'm describing here today. Make it simple, keep it easy, and get the best benefit out of it. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to tell you my take on the microgreens. Other people might have a different take, but I think I presented my reasons pretty well here. So I hope you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. You'll see me doing this and growing those exact ones, and the rotation I use and everything like that. Lots of stuff coming up. I'll be showing you growing on our 1 square foot grow rack, and we'll have our microgreens on there with our lettuces, and all this stuff is coming up, right? But stay tuned to the channel. Thanks for being here. That's what I got for you. Say hi in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. This is Troy Time. I'm out.